Hi, second graders. This is lesson 9.9, day 2. It is the second day of our open response work with estimating cost. So today we're going to look at some student samples and review them and sort of decide, did they meet our expectations, did they not, how could they revise their work and make it better, so that hopefully that kind of guides you as you fill out your review and revise worksheet on Seesaw and update your work. Let's get started. So remember, you were supposed to choose at least 3 items by estimating, and your total cost should be less than $100. So it did not ask you to actually add with paper pencil. You were selecting your items and then you were writing in your explanation how you thought about this. So sample work from Child A said, this is how I got it right. I started by $48, then $6, then $18, then $11 because it don't go over 100. And then the student showed their estimating. So they estimated that 48 was close to 50, 18 was close to 20, 6 was about 10, and 11 was about 10 to show their mental math. So 50 plus 20 is 10 plus 10 is 90. So let's go through our checklist here and let's see, we'll sort of kind of grade them and see how we think they did. Did they choose at least 3 items and show the prices for each? Yes, they actually chose 4 items and they talked about how much each of them cost. Did their total get close to but less than 100? Did they tell how we know? Yeah, I think 90 is pretty close to 100, so I think that's a good total for their estimating. They got pretty close, and they tell us how they know because they show us their estimating. Did they show all their steps in their thinking? Did they show any close but easier numbers that they chose? I think they did. They first talked about what they selected, and then they talked about the close but easier numbers they chose and how they might have added them up to come up with their estimate. And did it show how we added the numbers? Yeah, I think they did. So overall, I think the student really met expectations. They did a nice job. I think maybe they might have talked a little bit more about how they selected what they did, and they might have put their dollar signs in front of the number amount. So I think overall this student did a nice job. One thing I might change is also putting a dollar sign in 90, but they definitely met expectations. This is clear and I can understand their thinking. Let's look at sample work from Child B. So Child B says 26 is closer to 30, 58 is close to 60, 6 is close to 10. I know it is less than $1 because the price is less. So as I'm thinking about what they did, I'm noticing that I think they mean it's less than $100 because the price is less. So there's an error there in their understanding and their description. I think they're missing some dollar signs. And what I also notice is the student has selected items getting them close to $100, but not showing any type of number model. So if I were to add 60 plus 30 plus 10, it would get 100. And so since each of the actual prices are less than what they estimated, I know that the answer would then be less. So I don't think that explanation is clear here. Let's kind of go through our checklist and talk a little bit more. So it says, did they choose at least 3 items and show the prices? Yep, they chose 3 items, showed their price. Is their total close to but less than 100? Did they tell how they know? I would put that one in the middle. It is close to or less than 100, but they aren't really explaining how they know. Because actually their estimate using these ballpark numbers would get them to 100, so they'd have to explain how they know these numbers, the actual price would get them less than 100. Did they show all their thinking in their steps? Did they use any close to but easier numbers? They definitely showed their close to easier numbers, but I don't think they showed all of their thinking because they didn't show a number model for how they might add these numbers. So I'm going to put that in the middle because it's a little bit of both. Did you show how you added your numbers? No, they did not. So there would be some places for the student to revise. I think they'd also need to go back and double check, like I said before, because they're looking for a total that is less than $100. Let's look at sample work from Child C. So sample work from Child C, as I look over their work, I see they're adding 18 plus 6 plus 11 plus 24 is 59. And they tell us that they bought a calculator, a DVD, some headphones, and a wireless mouse. Just by looking at this, I see a couple problems. The first is that they used addition, so they were actually adding the price instead of estimating and using close but easier numbers. And also their total is not really that close to 100. I think they could have either selected more items or selected items that cost more, because they definitely have more money to spend. You're trying to really get as close to $100 as you can without going over. So let's look. Did you choose at least 3 items and show the prices for each? Yes, they did. Is your total close to but less than 100? Did you tell how you know? I'm going to put no for this, even though they show us their work. This really isn't the work that the question's asking of you. So their total is not close to 100, but also they're adding the actual cost of the items instead of a close but easier number. And that's not what the question's asking you to do, right? You were supposed to just pick your items, glue them down, and then show what you were thinking and how you picked them. Did they show all their thinking in steps? Did they show any close but easier numbers? I'm going to put it in the middle. They did show their thinking, but they don't show any close but easier numbers, which was part of the assignment. Did they show how they added the numbers? I'm also going to put that in the middle because they show here how they're adding, but again, that's not what the question is asking. So if I completed something like this and I filled out my review and revise like this, I would say this is something that the student should start over and they should try their explanation again. So what you're going to do today is you're going to go on Seesaw and just complete the review and revise checklist based on the work you completed. And just like last time, I'm asking you to use a colored pencil or a separate sheet of paper to revise your work. And if you've marked no for any of them, or if they're in the middle, then those are places where you can make revisions. If you've marked yes to all the questions, I think you should go back and double check your work to see if there's anything you can do to improve the quality of your work. Just like in student sample A, we said that they had all yeses, but there were still places where they could go back and update their work. Once you finish, please complete HomeLink 9.9. Have a great day.